Trinity United Church of Christ. We're glad you're with us this morning on this gorgeous day. It's a day when we gather to celebrate and to think about what's going on in the world more. It's a really mixed day today. So I invite you into this service to share all of the feelings, not just one particular feeling. As we gather, we offer our respects here to the ancestors and to the descendants of the original people of this very land. And we invoke their presence as we welcome everyone by saying, whoever you are and wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. I invite you to stand as you're able for our opening songs. First, we are marching and Siyahama. We're going to sing a verse in Zulu. I think you know that one. And so let's stand and sing. Sunday of Lent, and we are studying what it might be to become an immigrant welcoming congregation. So as we sing this song, which comes out of the Latino tradition, the last verse, the chorus of the last verse is going to be in Spanish. So I invite you to try to sing it and think about what it might be like to live and move to a country where you don't understand the words.
Oh
As we settle back into our seats, let's join in a time of prayer, beginning with our centering song, Holy Spirit, Sound Thy Spirit. in one voice. Source of life, overturner, illuminator of hearts, we gather with gratitude for the earth and all of us who journey on it. For we all come from different places, different cultures, different families. We have migrated for many reasons, and we know we are not alone in the journey. Help us to be open to others whose journey is different from ours. Give us courage to travel out of our comfort zones, learning and sharing as we go, and strengthen us to speak the truth of our interconnectedness to those in power. Join us in the silence as we celebrate our diversity. We respond together. We are committed to the journey wherever it may lead us. Holy Spirit, be with us, we pray. Sancta Spiritus, in a slight change, we will be singing Witness, not Walk in Jerusalem. I'd like to invite the young one to come join me here as we sing our song. This is where children belong. Welcome as part of the worship song. Water, gospel, bread, and prayer and song. This is where children belong. Good morning. What day is it today? Oh, St. Where's your green? There. Good. She's got green. All right. I think most everybody knows it's St. Patrick's Day, don't you? Because they're all dressed up with green. Do you know where St. Patrick was from?
Ireland.
Ireland. He's the patron saint of Ireland. And you know what he did? Supposedly, he chased all the snakes out. That's a weird story, isn't it? So, St. Patrick was from Ireland. Where are you from? Oregon. Okay? Oregon. Are there other ways that you could say where you're from? Like the city you live in? You're from Gresham. You're from Portland. Do you know where your ancestors came from? No. But they probably came from someplace, unless you're Native American. Right? They probably. Mm-hmm. But all you're like your great grandparents. Now for me, my grandparents on my mother's side came from England, and on my father's side came from Germany. So I'm a Germanish person, I guess. England. So we all come from lots of different places. And I think it's one of the things we're studying now is that we find ways to welcome people who come from places different from where we come from. Because they're just people, right? Yeah, that's a good thing. All right, well, let's have a prayer, and then I think you can go off to your class, okay? Dear God, thank you for making us all so very different people. Help us to understand each other and to celebrate the facts that we're different. Your many beautiful names. Amen. All right. Our Now Testament for this morning is the poem Give Me Your Tired, You're Poor by Emma Lazarus, which is on a plaque on the Statue of Liberty. And I want us to think about the difference between who we are and who we want to be as you listen to this amazing poem. Next song is Holy Ground, and I think since it says we are standing on holy ground, maybe we should stand. We'll sing it through twice.
Good morning. The reading is from Deuteronomy 26, 5 through 11 from the Inclusive Bible. These are the words of Moses giving instruction to the Israelites for their new life across the Jordan. He has described how they will take the first fruits of the harvest to the priest as an offering. Then you will declare before Yahweh, my ancestor was a wandering Aramean who went down to Egypt with a small household and lived there as an alien. There they became a nation great, strong, and numerous. When the Egyptians mistreated and oppressed us, imposing hard labor upon us, we cried to Yahweh, the God of our ancestors, who heard our cry and saw our affliction, our toil, and our oppression. Yahweh brought to us out of Egypt with a strong hand and outstretched arm, with terrifying power, with signs and wonders. Yahweh gave us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. Therefore I have brought not the first fruits of the products of the soil that you, O God, have given me. Then you must set them before Yahweh and bow down before Yahweh. Then you all, along with the Levites and the foreigner that live among you, will feast on all the good things that Yahweh, your God, has given to you and your household.
Thank you, Cindy. We don't often get a reading from Deuteronomy. In fact, we don't often say the word Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy is the last Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, the last of the 5 books of the Torah in the Hebrew tradition. And essentially, Deuteronomy is the last words of Moses given to the children of Israel before they crossed the Jordan into the land they claim is promised to them, the chosen land. And it's important to remember that Moses died before he crossed the river. He didn't get to cross that river. So we're talking about where we're from. And this scripture details an account, not just this passage, but the whole Deuteronomy, book of Deuteronomy, talks about these migrations. So when you ask someone where they're from, that could mean a whole bunch of different things. It could mean what country are you from, what family, what neighborhood, what culture, What hometown? Where did we come from is a question that has multiple answers. I think in our discussion about becoming immigrant welcoming, we're talking about physical migration from one place to another place. A move that means uprooting from one physical place and landing in another place, which likely will be quite different. Now, these words, my father was a wandering Aramean. Well, does anybody know who that wandering Aramean was? Think about our talk last week about how the people got to Egypt and then how they came out of Egypt. So who was the wandering Aramean, do you think? It was Jacob. It was Jacob. Because Jacob's son Joseph was the one that wound up, after being sold into captivity by his brothers, in Egypt, and he rose to a position of power in the Pharaoh's house. And then when there was famine in the place where Jacob was living, which was way north of what is now Syria, near Damascus, he took his family to Egypt. They lived there and multiplied and all that. And then they had to escape from Egypt to go back. So the migration is a give and take thing. It happens to all of us over and over and over, especially in a mobile society like ours. What are some of the reasons you have moved? Real question. Work, finding a job. Family, school. Retirement, community. Sunshine. Sunshine. Well, if you stay here long enough for days. So we understand that this sense of migration creates a change for us where when someone asks, where did you come from? Now, I've lived in several different states in the U.S. Which one do I say? Do I say I usually say I grew up in the Bay Area, so that's right. Sorry, I'm California. Was California. So we all experience this sense of migration. We are all, in a sense, wandering Arameans. Now, there are some people who have wound up living in the same house they grew up in their whole lives. I think that's rarer and rarer these days. And so that begs the question of us, how can we not be welcoming of people who have migrated when we actually have been part of that migration? The question I asked the kids about, where did your ancestors come from? Where are some of the places your ancestors have come from? Germany? Russia? Yeah. Scotland? Sweden? Where? Switzerland. Where we are, yes.
County Cork.
It's your day, Diana. In this gathering here, is that amazing? I think it's truly amazing that we have that variety in us. And we're able to somehow get past the cultural differences, the language differences, all of those things. And by being welcoming, we invite people into that discussion, I think. Borders are human constructions. That's a picture of the United States. It's a picture. Where are the borders? Where we want to put them. And that involves power over, usually. It involves money. It involves all kinds of things that don't have anything to do with the land, except to say, I want the land to be here. Borders are human constructions. I like this quote. This is a quote that was on the sign before I changed it yesterday. But it's a sentiment that's shared by all different kinds of writers and people. Peace requires the simple but powerful recognition that what we have in common as human beings is more important and crucial than what divides us. What we have more in common than we have different from each other. And it's something that we haven't really taken that into us, into our hearts and souls, I think. That concept that someone may be different from us, but you know what? They have 2 legs, they have 2 arms, they have a mouth that eats food, and the digestive system that processes it. They breathe, their heart beats. We have a whole lot more in common than the things that create the differences between us. It was interesting. I love the poem, Give Me Your Tired Report, by Emma Lazarus. And someone asked, I was in a conversation just the last couple of days, this was already done, so it was already in here. And they said, yeah, that's not the way. This country has been awful from the beginning. We've treated slaves poorly. We now treat people coming to our border, refugees seeking asylum, poorly. How can you say that poem? But I think the difference is, this is who we want to be. And as long as we can hold that vision of who we want to be, then we can work toward that. I love that the Statue of Liberty, she calls the Mother of Exiles. That gives me goosebumps. That's incredible to think that that statue stands for welcoming your tired, your poor, the wretched refuse of your teenage children. Home of the free, that's another phrase that we give out as who we like to claim we are. And also land of opportunity. And in some ways these things are true, but we have work to do, my friends. I think we have a lot of work to do. And it's up to each one of us to be involved in that work. So as we continue this series during Lent, let's continue to think about ways that we, specifically as individuals and as a congregation, can participate in making these true, making these the reality. Amen. By giving from our own abundance, our own sense of enough, we share that message of welcome with the world in our neighborhood and beyond. Ushers will now receive our morning offering.
share your extravagant love in our neighborhood and world. In your many beautiful names. Amen.
Please be seated. We come to this time of prayer when we ask you to share what prayers are on your hearts. And I especially would ask that we remember all those affected by the shootings in New Zealand and to think about ways that we can be involved in both reaching out to those who were hurt, families of those who were killed, and to those who did this awful thing, to find out how we can change that mindset that makes these things happen. God of love, what prayers do you bring?
Pastor Don, our prayers of thanks for the wonderful community that we live in, as demonstrated by the snow-capped auction last night.
Yes, Walt asks prayers of thanks for the wonderful community we live in, as evidenced by the wonderful auction, snow-cap auction last night. Little Bird told me that it looks like the grand total was about $145,000. God of love. Yes.
Continued prayers for David May and also prayers for Chris Parno. She fell yesterday and broke her wrist.
Prayers for Chris and David. Chris now has broken wrist, and David has still recovering from back surgery. Prayers for their both. God of love.
We thank you for your presence.
Yes.
I ask for prayers for my mom who had to go to the ER a couple of days ago. Is back home and doing okay, but she's just every day's getting a lot harder for her.
David asked prayers for his mother Ethel as she had to go to the ER this past week and was home and is doing better. But prayers for Ethel as she deals with the aging process. God of love.
We thank you for your presence.
Okay. Traveling mercies for the Lershes as they depart for New Mexico. God of love.
We thank you for your presence.
Scott.
Prayers for the people of Venezuela during a difficult time.
Prayers for those people in Venezuela during an incredibly difficult time. God of love.
We thank you for your presence.
I'm not sure what to pray for, but had my visit back to Missouri and it's getting more difficult.
Prayers for Cammie's mom who lives in Sedalia, Missouri, as she also deals with the aging process. And prayers for your whole family, Cammie, as you come to an understanding of what that means for you. God of love.
We thank you for your presence.
Prayers for all of the people heavily affected by the large water main break in downtown Portland. It's fascinating how 1 million gallons of water spilling out in a minute can change a lot of people's lives very quickly.
Prayers for those in downtown Portland who were hit by a water main break that brought a lot of water into their lives. God of love.
We thank you for your presence.
Yes.
For all those who are going through healing from the lost loved one, that our support and care will be with them.
Prayers for those who are grieving the loss of a loved one, and prayers that we can be supported in that process. God of love.
We thank you for your presence.
Let us pray together. Holy One, we pause in this moment, asking for your Spirit to be with us, even as we know your Spirit is with us. We ask you to be with those we have named aloud. May they feel your presence in a tangible way. We also ask that you continue to empower us to be agents of that presence for every single person we meet. May we shine forth your love from our own selves. We pray for people in places around the world that are struggling with disasters of natural cause and human cause. We especially lift up those in New Zealand who are reeling from a mass murder in 2 mosques, driven by hatred. Help us to stand firm in our belief that love is what wins, not hatred. And also help us to understand that only by practicing peace can peace come to the world. Peace is not bought with violence in any sense of those words. We ask you to be with our leaders as they continue to struggle to find ways forward, to find ways that treat people as human beings, not as numbers. We ask also that you be with those who are living on our city streets as they struggle to find food and housing and, most important, relationship. May we continue to offer those things as we can in this community to all those who are around us. All of these things we ask in the name of Jesus, our brother and teacher, who taught us to pray using these words from the New Zealand prayer book. Eternal Spirit, Earth Maker, Pain Bearer, Life Giver, Source of all that is and that shall be, Father and Mother of us all, loving God in whom is heaven, the hallowing of your name echoes through the universe, the way of your justice be followed by the peoples of the earth. Your heavenly will is done by all created things. Your commonwealth of peace and freedom sustain our hope and come on earth. With the bread we need for today, feed us. In the hurts we absorb from one another, forgive us. In times of temptation and test, spare us. From the grip of all that is evil, free us. For you reign in the glory of the power that is love, now and forever. Amen. And our peace moment today, for our peace moment, in honor of St. Patrick's Day, I read these words which are taken from a prayer called St. Patrick's Breastplate. It's in the Celtic style. Christ be with me, Christ within me, Christ behind me, Christ before me, Christ beside me, Christ to win me, Christ to comfort and restore me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me, Christ in quiet, Christ in danger, Christ in hearts of all who love me, Christ in mouth of friend and stranger. I bind to myself today the strong virtue of an invocation of the Trinity. I believe the Trinity in the unity, the Creator of the universe.
Every
There are announcements on the back of the program. Are you going to talk about that? Okay, I'll do that one. Easter Seals Bloom Fest. If you'd like to pre-order a bouquet, talk to Lucille Hard. That announcement is there. Our Lenten study continues both on Saturday mornings at 10 and on Sunday mornings at 10. So if you're interested in going to the class, please do join us next Saturday. Parkrose Repair Cafe on Saturday, April 6th at 10 a.m. in Eastminster Hall. This is a way that we can connect with the community by offering to help fix little things. There'll be more information about this coming out, but stay aware of that. Also, I encourage you to keep up with your carbon fast. There's information on a table that's just to the right outside the door. I don't know the process of putting leaves on the tree, but you've got leaves and you can write what you've done to reduce your carbon footprint, and we'll get those on that tree. So the tree's here now. So. All right, other announcements? Yes.
So, I know change is hard, but talking about loving the earth, if we can each pick one thing we can do differently this week, you'll be loving the earth a little bit more, okay? Also, Peace and Justice Group will be meeting today at 11:30 to regroup, so thank you.
And gratitude for all the young people who took part in the creation justice event by not going to school. I mean, I don't encourage people not to go to school. Congrats to them. All right, Cammie, I think you're up.
Top of the morning to you. On this St. Patty's Day, we all have a wee bit of Irishness, don't we? So it is picture day. Did you bring your smiles? I'm all set up out there for to take your photo if you're ready for that. If you don't have your whole brood with you, we can do it another Sunday. We'll be doing it next Sunday and the Sunday after. And the process, there's some props, such as hats and signs and some animals and stuffed animals to help you smile. And that's just set out here in Eastminster Hall. Pick one of those and we'll take a picture, and then Donna's doing a little check.
No, let's fill out the form first.
We're going to fill out the form first.
Yeah, you don't get your picture taken until you fill out the form.
So we're going to do that after church, and you can, don't want to all bombard me at the same time, so some of you can get your goodies first, and then some of you can come get your picture first. We'll see you then.
Okay, the forms are to help us be sure we've got correct information on everybody. And there's also a line to add an emergency contact, which is especially helpful when we have older people whose children aren't known to us, so that we can, if you don't show up for several Sundays, we know who to contact to find out what might be going on. Yes, that's a great idea. So those forms are on the money changers table, so check those out and fill those out. They're very brief, and then get in line for your pictures. Okay? Other announcements? All right, let's stand as we close with Marching to Zion, Come We Who Love God's Faith.
Surround the throne.
continues. Remember, we didn't just go to church.
We are the church.
Amen. So may you go in peace and live in love.
That's a good idea.